Hello and welcome to another episode of the Building Our World podcast. Today we are live from Paris with Karim Benchaaboun, the CTO and co-founder of Flowlity. Now, Flowlity is a supply chain software that is bringing Amazon's supply chain efficiency to manufacturers around the world. They started out in 2018 where Karim met his other co-founder, Jean-Baptiste, through the Entrepreneur First startup program. From there, they united their expertise and the company was born. In this conversation, Karim talks in great detail of the long and thoughtful process he went through to get their first clients signed up. He talks about his obsession over the customer and customer satisfaction and his own personal desire to have an impact using his software engineering and machine learning expertise. We covered a lot of ground for you to listen in on, so I hope you enjoy it. So Karim, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm very good. Thank you for welcoming me.
So I've given you a brief introduction in sort of a pre-record, but what it would be great to do is just find out a bit about yourself, so introduce yourself, also what Flowlity do as a company, and where you're up to sort of as of August 2020.
So my name is Karim. I'm a CTO and co-founder of Flowlity. We are two co-founders. We built Flowlity 2 years ago, so it's a very recent, a very early stage startup, and we are a software that solves the inventory optimization problem through AI and a super user-friendly solution. This is like a domain that didn't see much innovation in the past years, and there was a huge opportunity to work with manufacturers, factories, to help them digitalize, decrease their costs, get more cash flows, decrease a lot the waste, and make all their work very, very simple. So on my side, I am a software engineer at school. So I did like a French engineering school as a computer scientist, and then as a applied mathematics. And then I started working as a data scientist in different domains, in banks, insurance, and also advertising for 4 years, before moving to the supply chain area, where I discovered that data is key for everything. And there's like amazing problems to solve through AI.
So when it comes to that kind of area, how much is Amazon sort of shaping that particular part of the industry? Because you mentioned there's not been much innovation there. So are you almost competing with the Amazon process, or are you supplementing it? How's the dynamic between yourself and the powerhouse?
Yeah, excellent question, because in the beginning we were inspired by Amazon, and we were even saying that we were saying like Flowlity, we want to bring the supply chain to the rest of the world. It was one of our first way to market. Now we don't use this sentence anymore. But the thing is that Amazon, we have a lot of friends in Amazon. We know all how much they invest in the supply chain and in technology internally. And their supply chain is really amazing, like from what they get from their suppliers till the end consumer. So now we know, like when you order something in 1 hour, you can get it. But then nobody knows what's happening behind, like all the big machine and all the automation that's behind Amazon. And this is what we try to do, but for all the rest of plants, instead of being not evolving much, because other companies are not a software company. Amazon, if you think about it, it's a software company at the heart, and they invest and they have like all the internal tools. So they don't sell the tools, but they use it for themselves, and they have all the visibility onto their suppliers. So, for example, if you work with Amazon, you have to share with them like all the data. They have visibility on the trucks, so they know exactly when it's going to arrive, and they have like live monitoring on their inventories. So they have like everything digitalized. But when you see like big companies like French or in Europe in general, the heart of their work is not supply chain. So the value that they are bringing to their customers is not really supply chain. So they put it aside. They didn't invest that much in supply chain tools. And today it's a bit hard because you need to, like reduce the costs and avoid waste.
So have you found that lack of investment in supply chain a European issue? Is there sort of a gap in the market in the emerging cities around Europe?
Yeah, exactly. So now we are really focused on European market. There is a big gap. There is a big need as well. So most of the big companies are trying to find a solution right now. So this is the perfect moment. Before, like companies like Amazon or others, like new let's say newcomers, come and take all the market. And when I say this, is like all the in all domains we are working, like with automotive, aerospace, but also retail, and we see the same behavior. But then there are like some newcomers or like some other companies, few of them in Europe, that already invest a lot in supply chain, and they start seeing results right now. Like their delivery is good. You don't wait like 5 weeks when you order online, and you get what you want. You have let's say satisfied customers.
So you mentioned people are really looking at their supply chain in 2020. I know we keep sort of comparing to Amazon, but I think Jeff Bezos' net worth has gone up like 20 billion this year because of the pandemic. I'm not suggesting yours has as well, but how has the events of 2020 affected your business and the demand for your particular product?
Yeah, totally. So our product, if I come back to it, so we are like inventory optimization tool. So the main value is to reduce the inventories, avoid the shortages. So you always have the right level of stock at the right time. And with this, like you have the value is like you will have more cash, you can avoid waste, and you always have the right level of stock when the customer needs it. So basically, this is like all after the COVID effect. Everyone needs cash, needs to reduce the cost, and avoid waste. And so what we saw with COVID is like during the COVID, all the factories we were working with, they were stopped because there was no activity at all. So they were not using our software at all because they just they don't work. So for us, it was very hard, and it was hard for us to project ourselves in advance. We know that there will be a need in our software, but we don't know when. But actually, it was very fast because after 3 months of COVID and confinement and everything, everyone wants to come back on track, invest, and start producing again while reducing costs. So our software was really on the spotlight. So now we have lots of projects ongoing. We are growing. We were before COVID 8 people. Now we passed to 15. So for us, COVID was opportunity more than anything.
So it really did, because I know when COVID happened, obviously everything kind of went dead, and everyone was like, let's wait for the bounce back. You got to prepare for the bounce back. It sounds like with your product, it really did bounce back in quite an emphatic way. Yeah, we are seeing this. I hope it will continue without second wave. But for now, totally. There is a real interest right now in our product, especially that all the classical innovation is stopped. If you just want to try and innovate in other domains as a company, now you really want to invest in product that will give you impact, that have an impact very fast. Which is getting you money and customers to survive. So, but how do you make these potential customers see the savings? Because obviously, you are essentially selling them something which will cost them something in a time where every penny is scrutinized. So how are you going to people and showing them that, this is going to save you money and time in the long term for your business? Because it can be a challenge, especially this year.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And this is also a super good question. The things like our customers is like big enterprise, and we are selling. So it's like the sales is very complex. You don't come and sell the software very easy. Like if you just download like let's say tools like Slack or like LinkedIn or even Google Meet when you just subscribe online and you have everything. So before using our software, there is always like this kind of proof of concept we need to do. So with our customer, they send us some data and we prove them or not that there is a ROI on that if they work with us. So we train our models on the past data and see if there is an opportunity to improve the way they do their planning. And this is what we do as like this is the first part of the project. Then we do like a second part, which is deploying the application to the customer where we receive the data every day. So live, the users start using it every day in parallel of the classical tools that they use, and make sure that everything is okay. And this can last depending on the customer. If it is like a big company or like smaller startup, it can last between few months to 6 months. And after that, we really go live. We go in production, and they use it every day. But it is like this process of going step by step, proving that it's working well, then adopting and trying the application slowly till you use it every day. But we don't like come and like big. It's a big boom, and we replace all your tool, and the way you work, this is not working. No.
Yeah. So before they've parted with any money, they've seen, your models and your algorithms have gone through their data, and they've kind of seen the ROI.
Exactly. Well, we make this exercise of proof of concept paid, but it's with very little money. It's okay. The idea is like to really keep the customer involved as well. And I think this is also a good advice for future entrepreneurs. Like maybe avoid to do free proof of concept or free project. We did it, and what we saw is that the customer is less involved. He gave us like less data and was like less committed in the project. But sometimes they give you just few, like 2,000 euro, 3,000 for like a 1 month proof of concept, which is not much for a big company. But then they are much more involved because there is like money inside.
Yeah. There's a massive difference, isn't there, between, and I can speak from my experience in tech recruitment. There's a massive difference between a company sort of being interested and being like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, this, that, and then actually parting with their money. And I think especially maybe inexperienced entrepreneurs or anyone in sales. I know when I first started out, a little bit of interest can be really misinterpreted, and you can kind of get your hopes up. So I think getting a little bit of money, that little bit of buy-in, can really change the dynamic.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because actually, no one in front of you will say this is a shitty idea. I don't want to try. Everyone will be like, "Wow, this is cool. Let's try it," And but then when you say, "Okay, let's do a first project for like 2,000 euro," you're like, maybe not. Okay, but this is also a good filter to see if this is a real problem of the customer or not. If they really need to invest in the company. For other customers, they are like willing to pay a lot of money just to try, because this is like a big pain point in their company.
And you must get such quick feedback as well on your product and your service, and it must really shorten the feedback loop, especially for a company that's still in its early stages.
Exactly. Feedback loop is super important. And actually, like for the last 2 years, the product is evolving a lot thanks to our first customers. And the thing is like what's hard for this kind of company is that we cannot have feedback loop fully automized. It's not like when you have like a LinkedIn or a website online and you have 1,000 or millions of users every day, and that you can do A/B testing and you can send emails and stuff. For us, like we work with few companies that have few users, and if you send an email or try to make it like automate, it will not work. Like they will not even answer to the email. So what we do, especially now in the beginning, like we really like do weekly meeting with each of our customer, especially the first ones. They are super important.
Yeah.
So to make sure that they use and they understand the app, and we get all the feedbacks, and if they found any bug or anything, and we improve like that week after week.
Yeah, I think that is such a good bit of valuable advice. There's a lot of companies and a lot of people starting out that they have an idea and it's probably a good idea, but they think, it's perfect and in their mind it really works. And sometimes they create a barrier between themselves and the customers, and they're not allowing space for that feedback to come back to them. And that's ultimately how an idea develops. So you say you're up to, is it 15 employees now?
Yeah, exactly.
In Paris. How would you say Paris is? Because I've never really recruited much into Paris. I've done mostly Berlin and London. How do you see Paris? I'd be quite interested to hear your insights of this as a tech hub in Europe.
Yeah, I think Paris is currently like very hot tech hub. We see many also international talent coming here in the last few years. Many also come from Silicon Valley. And this is, I think, thanks to all the scale-ups, startups here in Paris. We see like lots of investments, not only from French VCs, but like European, also American VCs over here. A lot of startups growing up. We have had a lot of unicorns as well these last years. I think still less than London, but it's growing very fast. Like I saw like some numbers of VC investment year after year. It was around 30-40% grow. And this is like, when you invest money and you have quality startup in a city or in a market, naturally it attracts more talents, more investors, and more cool product, let's say. But yeah, this is a cool take-up. But the thing is that also the drawback here is that there is a lot of competition for talent. So when we were looking for software engineers, it's so hard. The salaries are growing, rocketing up, let's say, and they have all the good software engineers. They have a lot of choice between nice startups here.
Yeah, if you're in a tech hub, and I think that's how most tech hubs emerge, is there's a few unicorns that develop, and then around that there's sort of smaller startups, and then competing with those unicorns for talent. I mean, I can only talk from, I've done a lot of work in Berlin, and you've got your Zalando, Amazon, Delivery Hero, massive unicorns. And then if a software engineer or a machine learning engineer is coming over, you're most likely competing with those kind of giants offering big salaries. But I think in any sort of emerging or established tech hub, that's always going to be a challenge, even in these sort of economic downturns.
No, but that's cool, because actually, okay, there is competition internally, like in the city, but it attracts foreigners and international talents, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing for Paris. And now what we see with COVID is that many startups or tech companies, they're becoming very remote friendly. So we don't even need to be in Paris to hire people. And even for us, we did this first step to hire like a really good delivery director in Portugal, and we have another software engineer that was in Paris but now is moving to Lyon, and not too far from here. So we are doing this step of like doing more and more remote, and the office becomes the exception.
Oh, so you have the option of fully remote now in your company?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the humble beginnings, as it were. So Flowlity was born out of, was it the first entrepreneur first program in Paris?
Yeah, exactly. So Entrepreneur First was famous in London, and then they created a second hub, I think was Berlin, and the first cohort was 2 years ago. So this is the cohort I joined just after Criteo. So we were like 50, let's say 50 ambitious people that are there with a lot of ideas that wants to create a startup and have an impact without having a co-founder.
Yeah.
So the thing, like the 3 months program, is really to find a co-founder, iterate into the idea, and find the first attraction to the customer. So first project, first customer ongoing, and if it goes well, you have another 3 months of the program where you try to scale a bit more and you invest more on the product. And see if you can even raise some money so you can increase the team. So this is where I have met my co-founder. So he's also applied mathematics engineer, but he spent all his 8 years of career in the supply chain domain. He was like a product manager, then as a pre-sales, and then as a sales. So he was more at the end as a business guy, selling software in the supply chain domain. And for my side, I was like more data scientist and machine learning engineer. So we were very complementary in terms of skills, but also in terms of personality and stuff. So we really get well along. And during the 3 months of Entrepreneur First, we showed that we can deliver and we can move very fast with the customer, with our idea, with our product. So we just worked together. So I didn't know him before the program at all. And so we iterated the idea. He knows that there was problem in the supply chain in general. And what we did to make sure that there is a problem and to understand which one exactly we can tackle first, we just spent like 2 months calling all the supply chain experts of mainly friends to see like what are their tools, what's the struggle every day, make sure that our idea that we had can be used and also will have an impact, and will not like replace like big competition. And this domain also, like there is a lot of competition in general, but we are not like a frontal competition. So what we do, like we just build on top of the current ERPs like SAP and stuff like that. So they just like give them a nice software, very user friendly, very simple, and like really full of AI behind in the back, like with the deep learning and to really predict well the demand, and a lot of optimization engine to tell you exactly the right level of inventories you need to have and that you need to order to your supplier. So Entrepreneur First, I started my entrepreneur journey thanks to them. Before that, I never create a project or build a startup. It was really by curiosity. I wanted to go there, and I don't regret at all.
So you mentioned that curiosity, and I think every kind of entrepreneur has that sort of moment where, because you were working at a good company in a great position. So that kind of desire, that itch to start your own project and company, everyone has it at different stages. Where were you when you thought, I'm definitely going to do this? Where did that come from?
So actually, to be honest, what I wanted is to have an impact. And as a software engineer, one way to have a quick impact and work in a cool product is to join a very early stage company.
Yeah.
So when I was in Criteo, I started like speaking with some small startups in Paris. Crazy ideas, like super nice products, good fit with many of them. And meanwhile, like during this process of interviews and everything, I get contacted by Entrepreneur First. That proposed me to create the company. Yeah, they contacted me on LinkedIn for like a meeting. So we just chat, and the program sounds cool. And I was like, okay, so for 3 months, I can try and see if I can like deliver and create like my own idea, my own product. So it was more like a test on myself, because I never had entrepreneur experience. I knew that I could be a really good executant in a small startup, and that I will have an impact for sure. But I never knew that I could also create a company. So this is how we started. It was like more like, okay, let's test. And I love like testing and doing new things. So I just went for this. And now I love it. Like if after Flowlity, whatever happens, I will do it again. I mean, like building another company, because this is like super exciting journey.
A serial entrepreneur. Were you still working at your company whilst doing that 3-month sort of brainstorm?
Yeah, for this, in France there is a nice program. Like when you spend more than 3 years, if I'm correct, in a company, you have the right to take 1 year sabbatical year.
Oh, okay.
One sabbatical year to create a company. So it's really for company creation. And there is another one sabbatical, just like you can travel all over the world. But I think this is after like 5 years. So this is what I did. So I did like a break for 1 year with my company to test and see how is the thing is going. And if it was, like maybe entrepreneur was not for me, maybe the company I was wanted to build, it was not the good one. I could always come back to my former company with the same position and the same salary.
Oh, okay. So you had that insurance in place.
Yeah.
So in those early days as well, so you have this, you're obviously brainstorming for ideas with your other co-founder. How are you going out to other supply chain experts and getting the feedback? Because at the time you're just, I suppose, an unknown in the industry.
Yeah, totally. So worse than this, like unknown in the industry, but also unknown in the domain. So I was contacting some people, but knowing nothing about supply chain. So actually, like let's say there was a lot of different steps during these 3 months. The first step, I was writing to people on LinkedIn, like to professionals in the supply chain, just asking them some questions. I'm like, guys, I want to build a company in the supply chain, but I'm very new. I don't come from the domain. Do you bother to have some time to speak, like for 10 minutes or 15 minutes? And this is how we start. And this is like super, super nice, because I was not expecting so many good answers and positive answers. Like most of the people answer me on LinkedIn. But then, like let's say only maybe half or quarter accepted to have a call phone or like a video afterwards. And during the first calls, I just asked like a general question, like what are your struggles today, and then try to dig more and more onto the problem and into the solution they use in the beginning. So this is how we start. And then with this first discussion, like we start doing some slides, and we start having a clear idea of our product without building it, just form of a vision of the product. So we call people the same way, but this time we say, okay, we have this Flowlity company and we have this product. I can show you a slide. And the first times we show the product or we show the slides, we had so much feedbacks, mostly like, let's say, lots of advice to improve the product, because it was not the right one at all. So with this, actually, like we improve also the slide till the moment where we start showing the product, and the guy is like, wow, this is cool. When can we start the project? And this is the point where we're like, okay, so now we are touching something. We know there is a problem, more defined. We don't ask anymore the general question, but we go directly always to the same problem, which is inventory optimization. And then in terms of product, every time now we start showing it, customer, we see that there is an excitement on the customer side. So we pass from like a young, let's say, engineer asking naive questions to someone who is providing a solution that will have a real impact. And from there, we start really coding and building this product based on all the discussion and stuff.
So when that customer said, gave you good feedback and saw value in your product after a few iterations, that must have been such a good feeling to know that you're sort of onto something, and there is value in what you do, and it kind of gives you that rush and that confidence to press on.
Yeah, totally. That's actually like all the entrepreneur journey is full of up and downs, especially in the beginning. And every day you feel like you did something great that you are very proud, and the day after you speak with someone new and he tell you this is bullshit and this is what you do doesn't make sense and have no impact, and you touch the down the ground floor, and you're always asking yourself this question: should I continue? Is it really necessary? And then you have this another customer that comes and he's like, wow, this is amazing what you do, and it will help us and save a lot of money and stuff. So in the beginning, it was very hard in terms of emotion. You're always happy and sad in the same time.
Yeah.
And I think after a few months, like if I have a good news, I'm not that happy, and if I have bad news, I'm not that sad. So this is my current situation, and I don't get overexcited anymore. But yeah, this is also what makes it funny, all this journey. Like every time we try to celebrate, the small steps as a company, as a team, and now as a bigger startup. But yeah. So every time you have an impact and you have that customer in front saying that thank you and this product is good and amazing, this makes you very, very proud.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I've obviously early days into my own sort of first business, my own tech recruiting venture, and at my old company when I was tech recruiting, it got to the point where I was so used to the highs and lows. I was just like you now, I knew kind of I could keep a level head. But when you first start out and everything's so new, the highs are high and the lows are completely low. But when you're starting out as well, and I've been speaking to quite a lot of people about this and got quite interested in it, there's something chemically in your brain. You need those small wins to just keep you going. So every time you have like a small win or a good bit of feedback or a client win or a user sign up, you get dopamine that's released in your brain. And there's been studies that, when people give up on business or give up when they're running, it's not a sort of body issue. It's a chemical issue. And that's why it's so important, especially in the early days of a startup, to really celebrate the small wins, because you need that hook, that sort of emotional hook, to keep you going through the highs and lows.
Cool. Good to know. I didn't know about, about this. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. There's it's a bit of a rabbit hole you go down, but I've always been quite interested in the chemical makeup of the brain, and always quite interested in the reasons behind why you feel a certain way or how things happen. And because when you're first starting out and you've got no employees and you're in the idea phase, your brain and how you think is your biggest asset, and knowing how that all works is really, really interesting. So when it comes to those early days and you're trying to figure out the kind of the keys to startup success, what do you think is such an important factor? So I've spoken to a few people and they're like, the founding team 100% is the most important, or it's the idea or the business model, or even the timing of your idea within the world. After 2 years on your journey, what would you say really stands out to you as the most important factor for a startup to get off the ground?
Yeah, I think everything you mentioned is totally true. Like the people, that's the team that you are building, because at the end, all this business it's about people, either like customer, either in your team, or either with the investors. So we need to really build this trust with our first customers. And this is like super important, because our first customers is also like becoming kind of a friend, because we speak to them so much and they give us so much feedback that, it's not only like a seller and a customer relationship, but it's also like becoming friendly way. So I think one of the main qualities is like really the trust into the first customers, the trust that you will have in your team, the first employees that you hire. They are super important because they are impacting the culture, they're impacting the product and the vision and everything. So this is something super important, but also with the investors at the end, because they are always here and they also like enter in your to take the risk with you. So they need to trust you, and you need to trust them, especially in the beginning with the hard times, with lots of high and lows. So yeah, the trust I think is one of the main quality. And I think for entrepreneurs, like we should be resilient, like never give up. I think many people tell us like, this customer is not for you, it's not the right, it's not the good, it's not the domain that you are tackling, or it's not like it's not paying that much, don't go with him. And at the end, like 1 year after, we show that he's the best customer, he gave us so much feedback and the most of the money, or like like people tend to give you so much advice. I think one of the advice, like not to listen to all this advice around you, just make your own decisions, because at the end you know the business better than anyone else.
100%.
And at least if you fail, it will be your fault, not because of someone else fault. So we need to be really resilient and go for it, and don't give up for the first fail. Another example, after like speaking with 100 customers to raise the first seed round, my co-founder, mostly because he's the CEO, he spoke with more than 70 VC, distinct VCs to raise. But we really needed that money to build the first core engineer team, and without that, we wouldn't exist now. So we really like try again till we find like two good investors that want to start.
So you spoke with 70 VCs.
Yeah, more 70 or 75 VCs.
Wow.
And I think this is like one of the, I think at the end, one of the qualities of the startup or like success startups, like they never give up. They really like move on. And when I see like bigger startup like us, or like all like unicorns in France, like when you speak with the founders, it's always the same. Like always push it further, and never give up.
Well, I think, even if your idea doesn't quite fit, you get the feedback from the customers, and then you just iterate and change. And it seems that constant feedback has really been a central part to where you guys are today. And a lot of founders I speak to, they always mention, get feedback. It's something that seems so important to them.
Yeah, totally. Feedbacks are super important. Yeah, because at the end you are building the product. At the end, not for you, it's for someone else that's going to use it in a daily basis. So you should take into account the feedbacks of your customers. And even sometimes, like some people tend to mix between product and vision, because your vision most of the time doesn't change. You always want to solve the same problem in the future. But then you should stay flexible in the journey in terms of product and in terms of feedbacks, because sometimes you really get good ideas from your customer, and that will impact all the other customers as well. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Customers, clients, they do give you the best ideas. One thing I've found starting out is make sure that the opinions you take into considerations are those from prospective clients or current clients, because your friends, your family, or just anyone you speak to, everyone's got an opinion, and everyone will tell you their opinion of your company or your idea, even if you didn't ask.
Exactly. Totally.
And you cannot. So what I've tried to do is, if someone's got some advice or an opinion, I'll listen to it, but I'll listen to their thought process behind their opinion, and then I will decide if I kind of take it or leave it. But yeah, everyone has got an opinion, and they will tell you even if you didn't ask.
Totally agree. Like we should like hear and get all the opinions, because some of them they're good, like they're always good advice. but then we cannot follow all of them because there is everything and anything.
How have you found these first couple of years in terms of workload? Because Silicon Valley has created sort of a grind culture, but I think that's changing now. So how have you found the workload, the hours, and balancing, the grind of the execution, but also giving you the space and the rest to be creative as well? I'd be quite interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So balance of work and life for both my co-founder and I is like super important. And this was like one of the first discussion we get because we both have this long-term vision of the company. And you can see it as a marathon, not a sprint. So if we just work so hard every week, weekends and the night, I will be like totally tired right now. But actually, if you keep in mind the objective where you want to go, you have to keep this balance. It's very positive for you as a founder, but also for your employees. And if you keep this culture, you can go further. Because now, like, for example, like most of the team, we all have like around 30 years old. We got 2 fathers during this year.
Okay.
And like it couldn't be possible if everyone is working like till midnight and weekends. It's not impossible. But then we should keep in mind that we are a startup and we have deadlines and we cannot miss some customers. And sometimes, of course, you work hard to want to deliver this specific feature, so you do everything to deliver it on time. So even if the whole team stays working till midnight or 2 or sometimes the weekend, but it's very rare, let's say. It shouldn't be. It's like really should be punctual in the year, but shouldn't happen all the time. Otherwise, like everyone will lose motivation. You get tired, and you also lose this sense of innovation. Because at the end, when you rest and if you take holidays or you do like some workshops and stuff like that, you can step back a bit and get much better ideas and get out your head from all this execution and sprinting all the time. So you can step back and get better ideas, say, okay, and be happy of what you achieved till now. So balance of work and life, it's super important, at least in Flowlity.
Yeah, I completely get that. So when I first started out in recruitment, young, stupid, naive, I was just sprint all the time and completely burned out. And now, obviously, starting my own business, I don't want that. But it's a case of what I found that the pattern is give myself the space and the rest to be creative, to come up with ideas. Some of my best ideas, well, I think they're good ideas anyway, is when I'm on a walk or just chilling out and I just quickly jot them down in my phone. And then once you have the idea, you do like a sprint to execute. And, that's going to be hard work. But then allowing yourself the space to actually see if the idea is a good one and executing well. And if you're grind, tired, long hours, you don't have the headspace or the bandwidth to make that kind of decision. And I think this year I've really learned that balancing that execution with the space for creativity is such an important factor. And I think a lot of people are realizing that now.
Yeah. No, it's very healthy to step back and rest. Because it keeps your motivation high and keeps also giving you keeping innovative. If you just sprint, you don't have the head, as you were saying, like the space in your head to think about something else. You just like do so much meeting one after the other and and work hard without knowing what you're doing at the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose the focus easy.
Yeah, it's like. It's just maintaining that sort of bandwidth. One thing, obviously, working with AI startups, my knowledge of an interest in machine learning over the past couple of years has really peaked. And, I'm not a techie guy. I can't build algorithms, but the interest in that. But one thing I've benefited from learning about machine learning and neural networks, it's made me look at my brain in a certain way and my brain as having a certain bandwidth and how I can increase that bandwidth. So you're coming from a machine learning background. and you'll know way more than me. How do you see the relationship between the human brain and the machine learning side of things? And have you ever made that connection in your work?
Yeah. So let's start by the fact that I think with the brain is still a secret for all the scientists today. We are trying to learn and to understand how it works. And we tend to mix sometimes like neural networks of data scientists with the real nerves that we have in our brain. But the thing is, like, today, I think in terms of machine learning or deep learning, we still very far from our brain capacity. What we can do is that we can, learn one task and doing it very well. Like recognizing some animals or some objects in a picture, or like translating words, or even predicting, predicting like what we do, like sales forecasts or stuff like this through like time series forecasting. We can do many things with machine learning today. We can even go with there's a new branch which is reinforcement learning. Where you can also like learn and train your models without having a database at all, just based on some feedback, like at the end, like a baby. So you learn by yourself by doing mistakes, and you have your agent telling you this is good, this is not good. So you learn how to walk, or you learn how to say things and stuff. But let's say today, like machine learning, at least in production and in big companies, it's really, really good to do one task. But we are, I think, the big challenge today is like, having one AI that does many things. And this maybe will get closer slowly, because so many investment in this domain. But we are still far from this AI of AI of the sci-fi movies, where it can speak to you and think and and walk and do many things at the same time. But one task after the other, or like two small tasks or three small tasks, is okay. But to have really like an AI thinking behind, it's a bit hard. We always need databases. We always need the human behind every model to make sure it's not doing bullshit. But yeah, we are improving so fast, especially in terms of I think there is, in terms of model, there is so much research, but also in terms of GPUs and CPUs and stuff, we are improving so much. We have so much resource, we have so much memories now in our servers, so we can train like huge models without taking into account the size of your data set, or like the power that you need. So you just like train on billions and billions of words. Or like of lines, and you can have a really nice AI. But for now, if we don't have the data set, we don't have this power and stuff, it's still hard to have a good AI that will really replace human. It will be like, for now, it's just like a tool. I see it like a tool that make the user make his life much easier. Like he can make decisions much faster thanks to AI, and look into the data much easier as well, and be more accurate. But we're very far to really replace human.
Yeah. So you see it, machine learning supplements what humans do and makes humans better, rather than the robots coming into your house and taking over.
Exactly. What I'm saying is like machine learning it's already in every field, in every domain, and in your phone is full of AI. Like even your fridge, sometimes there is already some AI and stuff. But the thing is, like, it's still a tool, to make you to increase your skills, and at the end empower you more than without AI. So now we work and we have all these tools around us that give us good recommendation and give us like a nice prediction and nice decision tools. And it's based with AI, but it's really like a nice way to empower human skills.
Do you think we're, say, 20, 30 years time, do you think AI could advance so much that it's on the same level as humans? It's called the singularity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where could you make a prediction? Because considering how much has changed even in the past 10 years in the field of AI.
I think it's very hard to forecast so far. Yes, true. Like we saw a tremendous advancement in the last 10 years. By the end, mostly not because of AI, but mostly of the resources behind the computer powers that improve a lot. But we are already like reaching a point where we cannot, like increase the powerful of CPUs all the time, like every year. So it depends. It depends on the research. For now, like I don't see like singularity for the next 10 years because there is no like that much advancements in this research. But maybe I cannot.
Who knows?
It's too hard. It's too hard to know.
So the breakthrough really needs to be in bandwidth and computer power for the next sort of leap.
Yeah. So now actually for the computer power, as we cannot just make the components even smaller, because at a point now we are like in the nano or like even quantic world. So maybe like if we manage to have like quantum computing and we use AI with quantum computing and stuff, maybe we can move forward to bigger capacity and computer capacity. But if we don't achieve, like maybe quantum computing or maybe a different way to compute much faster, it will be very hard in the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, I've gone down so many rabbit holes on YouTube watching machine learning videos. For anyone listening who's doesn't know too much about machine learning, I encourage you to watch the AlphaGo documentary. It's about DeepMind and them training an algorithm to beat one of the best in the world at Go. Have you ever seen that documentary?
AlphaGo, yeah. It's very funny.
Yeah, it really gives you an insight into how machines can teach us how to do things better. So we are going to wrap up soon. Appreciate you're very busy. One thing I'd be quite interested to know: do you know how many? So you're in the first Entrepreneur First Paris program. Do you know how many of the people that kind of started the program?
So in my cohort, we were 50 people.
And how many have survived now, or are still going now?
So let's say I think there are still like 10 startups going there that are still improving. The thing is that our first cohort was very, I think, exceptional. We had really good and smart people, and even the ones who didn't stay in the program, they even created startup afterwards with other people. Even if they don't get the investment from the entrepreneur first, but they continue their startup journey. And we are like around, let's say, like 10 startups from the same cohort that are still, like hiring people, moving on with the customer, raising some funds and stuff. So that's a really good number, because 10 startups, which means like 20 people out of 50. So like 40% of the cohort are still building their own startup and building their own vision. And the rest of the people at the end is like sometimes like they discover that it's not for them, the entrepreneurial, and they don't want to be responsible of the failing of their company, or and they prefer to be like your right hand instead of leading the company. Yes. So which is totally normal. Or they prefer the stability from better tech company and higher salaries, which is also totally normal. But no, our cohort is amazing. We had really good startups, but most of the time the cohort of 50, the ones who stay a bit long term, is more around 5-6 startups.
Okay, that's quite a good survival rate. So Flowlity, what are the plans for the future? 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line?
Yeah. So for us, our first, let's say, like do step by step. The first one is to make sure that the customers and all the projects we have are recurring. Mm-hmm. So they're recurring and live, and like they are satisfied and everything's okay. So we are really in this still first step, but which is like a huge milestone for us. And from there, our vision actually is to connect companies with their customer and suppliers. So to be the first really software that links the whole supply chain, because by definition, supply chain, you are linked to your supplier and customer. So the next big effort for the next 2 years will be that from our current customers, try to sell our solution to their supplier and their customers as well, to gather more data and improve our solution for all of them. Because if you improve the solution for one, that's amazing because you are using AI and stuff. But if you improve it to your direct supplier as well, you directly benefit from our solution as well. So, and for this, we need to grow. We need to grow more. And I think for the moment, we're gonna stay focused on Europe for the next 2 years, growing with the supply chain, so more customer, more supplier, and let's say in the next 5 years, we really want to not only do inventory optimization, but propose even like more products, go outside from Europe, and be really like famous in the supply chain management tools.
Love that. What's the metric that you use? Because you have these plans. Yeah, what is the metric for success in the company? Is it users, revenue, or employees?
So mostly about customer satisfaction. So for the moment, like how many users are using our application. So this is one of the most important, and also our business model for the moment is based on number of users. So more users we have, more they pay, and more everyone is happy. So it's mostly about how many people are using our software.
Okay, so we'll wrap up soon. So if I'm a software engineer or a machine learning engineer and I'm in a job in a cool tech company, but I've got an idea or an itch to pursue my own project and my own business. If you could go back to where you were a few years ago, what advice would you give to someone in that situation that you wish you'd known then?
Yeah, at this time, I think what I learned in this customer journey is like really, if you want to build a startup or like try and see if it is good for you or have an impact or whatever, I think the best is just to try. Don't take too much advice and don't listen to too much people. Just go, just try it by yourself. Don't read too much books, otherwise you will just get scared of what's waiting for you. Step by step, like if you have an idea, try to validate it with customers or users to make sure there is a problem or there is like someone needs your idea. And another advice is like if you can be 2 co-founding team, like 2 or 3, it's much better because as we were saying before, it's a lot of high and lows. And if you are 2, it's much easier. Someone like there is always like cheering the others up and keeping the motivation high. And for the solo founder, especially if it is your first time, it's very hard. It's a big charge mentally. So yeah, I think the only advice I would say, just like go for it, try it. If you have idea, speak about it, speak around you about it, and test it, validate, and just. And the only way to know if it is good for you or not, just to try it. So, so yeah, I would just encourage everyone, like if you have ideas and you want to be the start of anything, ask yourself like okay, why do I want to do this, and just go for it and do it. And there is like nothing to lose. If it is not for you, you can come back to normal position or normal company.
Exactly, absolutely. Amazing advice. Well, it's been an amazing journey, even in the short 2 years that you guys have been around. I love the real emphasis on getting feedback from the customer, from the people that matter, and the lengths you go to make sure that they're happy and listening to their ideas. And I think that's such a great way of doing things, and something that people can try, but even that effort can be lost, especially in the grind of everything. So I'm really excited to see how you guys progress over the next few years. If people want to get in touch with you, if there's anyone in the Paris tech scene or anyone listening worldwide, and would love to come to you for advice, would LinkedIn be the best way to get in touch?
LinkedIn, I'm very active in LinkedIn, so yeah, LinkedIn is a good way. It's perfect.
Okay.
Otherwise, my mail just Karim at Flowlity.com.
Okay.
It's also a good way to contact me, to reach me. But yeah, LinkedIn I think is a good place. I'm always there, so it's fine.
Excellent. And if by any chance there's someone in supply chain who's interested in your software, what's the best way to kind of get in touch?
Best way is to contact us directly from our website, so flowlity.com. We have all the links. We can even book directly a meeting with our business developer or directly with the CEO. And there is the email to reach us, so hello@flowlity.com. So just go to our website. You will see what our solution is about, and you can contact us very easy from there.
Excellent. Well, we'll wrap up there, Karim. That was brilliant. You dropped some really good value, and I know there'll be people out there listening who will take your advice and your journey very, very seriously. So thanks so much for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you, Alex. I really enjoyed the discussion. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much for listening to the Building Our World podcast. To show your support and to stay up to date, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.